Hello and welcome back to The Royal Trap. I shudder at the thought. But there's no truth to it? Not to that, no, but I'd like to see it anyway. She seems to be slipping into an accent, didn't really intend that. What sort of person would want to see a woman told that her parents are her parents? Even if your family no longer cares about you, even if you've ever missed them, they're what made you. To have that taken away and public for everyone to see your humiliation, how could anyone want that? Such a common, mean-spirited girl might make a useful informant, but I'd certainly never trust her with anything. Begging your pardon, miss, but we're there now. Have a nice meal. She leaves me to enter the dining room. As a lowly servant, her own supper will not be for some time yet. And so I join the others of my rank, the confidants and supporters of the noble elite. It's not too difficult to identify the footmen of Duke Ferraud. Despite their position, they're in a mismatched pair in clothing so plain it barely merits the title of a uniform. They sit in silence and they stare at the palace servants who give them a wide berth. It would appear that there is some long-standing disagreement in Guelenor between the royal family and this Duke and Duchess, one that extends even to their servant ranks. The attendants of the other guests are far more sociable, even Prince Gaston's shy little maid. We're all made welcome to the table and generous helpings of well-prepared food, much of which is still warm. Accompanying our meal is a pale and delicate sherry, a variety which does not keep well once the bottles have been breached. Thus we're encouraged to drain it dry. I myself partake only moderately, but Prince Nagui's chief valet appears to be half fish by the way he drinks. At the conclusion of the meal, we are treated to pastries and tiger nut milk, and all assembled are duly awed by royal largesse. Afterwards, the proper thing to do is to return to our rooms and await my master. What I intend to do, of course, is something less than proper. To find the viewing chamber that the page mentioned and cast my eyes over the festivities. Guarding Oscar from hidden dangers is another facet of my role, whether those dangers be a sword in a dark alley, or a social schemer out to trip him up. Anything could happen to him if I'm not there to watch. I'm sure everything is fine. Oscar had never had any difficulties with dancing lessons. Still, he might make little mistakes, and it would fall to me to discover those faults and train them out. He is, after all, a prize stallion of a sort. Shaking my head slightly at the image of Oscar as a fearsome warhorse, I slip into the servants' passages. It is clear that these unfinished corridors are not intended for the eyes of those above the salt. Even in the dim lighting, the exposed surfaces are a rough contrast to the splendour elsewhere. Dark, yes, but not very dusty. Either someone is assigned to clean even these unseen areas, or this location gets far more use than I'd expect. Well, perhaps there are always dances, or perhaps there are so few that this passage makes the ideal rendezvous spot for more private pursuits. Oh, there, a peephole. The crush of music and laughter is already clear, and moving closer I can see wigs and ball gowns below. Oscar must be out there somewhere. It may take me a few minutes to pick him out. I hear footsteps approaching, and at first think nothing of it. There are any number of servants in this palace after all, but that is not a servant. My lord? You. Who are you? Madeleine Valet, my lord. Valet to Ossendar. What's he doing here? He's a prince. He should be dancing with the nobles assembled below. Could the man be, well, of all things, lost in his own palace? Do you need something, my lord? Nothing. Well, nothing you could provide for me. The poisonous edge to his dismissal makes me wonder what exactly he thought I was offering. As I fail to respond, he presses on. Are you on some errand? My time is my own at the moment, my lord. Then why are you here? What's the world coming to when a servant can't have privacy from her betters, even in the back halls? This is a complete breach of decorum for him to set foot here at all. He shouldn't be challenging me about it. Inarguably rude though his question is, he is a member of the royal family, and I am a guest in his home. I am observing, my lord. Like the little cinder girl, watching and dreaming of what she can never have. I beg your pardon? Guest or not, that was just too far. No desire to be a princess. Then you must be a noblewoman's daughter in your own land. Younger daughter. And if misfortune favours the succession, it would fall to you. Better that than a younger son, the one left over when everyone tires of matchmaking. We can't choose how we're born. one would think. Anyway, my lord, you might be a king one day. That's not an option for me. Indeed. I suppose I shouldn't have said that much. But something about the man gets under my skin. Serve not envy and not an errand. What's your game? I'm keeping watch over my prince. This is my responsibility. At least I was, before you began interrogating me for no reason. His only answer is a snort, before he leans forward to place his own eye into one of the peepholes overlooking the ballroom. Well, dutiful spy, it seems you have nothing to worry about. May even be wedding bells in his future. What? I plastered myself to the wall and frantically scanned the dancers below. There he is. Oscar, his hair glittering in the light of the chandeliers, and the young woman in his arms. Princess Cassidy. She's smiling at him. They look happy. Of course they'd look happy. That royalty had been trained to be dazzling and polite in all circumstances. She'll dance with all of her suitors. That's why they're here. It's nothing. She places her hand in his and tilts her head. She laughs, and his eyes answer. They walk together towards the edge of the dance floor, strolling like lovers. What if I was wrong? What if they're a perfect match? If she chose him, Oscar would not hesitate to do his duty, regardless of any foolish dreams. To let it to me was not a declaration of intent. He knew there would never be anything between us. There are no obstacles in his path. If she chose him here and now, that would be that. He would leave, and I would be... I stepped back from the side, intending to make my apologies to Prince Callum. At least nowhere to be seen. He must have left while I was distracted. I shouldn't have come up here. I expected to see Oscar bumbling innocently along like the little boy he was when we met. I wanted to reassure myself that nothing had changed, that I was still in control, older and wiser like always. I wasn't ready to face the idea that he might not need me anymore. I returned to our rooms, too distracted to choose an adventurous route. How could he do this? Well, of course he could do this, that's why we came here. And only this evening he sent me that letter. Oh, who knows when he wrote it. Before he met her, certainly. Days ago, weeks ago, it could have been. Old news. Oh, he's young and he longs for romance and... well, he can't get it from me, so he turned to someone else. It's only to be expected. I must stay calm. In all likelihood, this will come to nothing. The princess is a sheltered young woman enjoying the attentions being paid to her. But she's also an heiress who's been raised to her responsibilities. Perhaps Cassidy and Oscar might come to an understanding in time, but her family would insist that she meet others first. Even if they were swept away by some mad passion and declared an engagement on the spot, which would be an incredible scandal, it would take months to organise a formal wedding. Disaster is not imminent, I have to believe that. Still, one thing is clear to me. I've been too complacent. I've not planned ahead. Sooner or later, I will lose my position with Oscar, and I need to think about what to do next. I don't like it, but not liking something doesn't stop it from happening. I have to face this. There are no other princes as Osundar. There's no shortage of young men. If I'm credited with polishing Oscar for a prestigious match, mothers may want to entrust their sons to me, or even younger children. I've had enough education to pass for a tutor if I must. Such a role would give me at least a new home and security, for a time at least. And there are benefits to having worked within the past so many years. Someone may wish to employ me on the basis of what and, well, and whom I know. And then there are my other skills, though I prefer not to rely on them. One who lives by the blade tends to die by it as well. No, never. I'm not returning to my family's hearth. Better to starve with dignity. But I can't believe it could come to that. Oh, how could I have let this happen? I knew my life with Oscar couldn't last. I told myself I was being the wise one. I was focusing on what was most important, not letting myself be distracted. Apparently wisdom and blindness look so similar that I couldn't tell the difference. No, I won't panic. Everything will be alright. I have time. Once we're in our own country again, I will set aside my wages. I will work harder at being sociable, making connections within the court. It's never too late to make a good beginning. Perhaps if Oscar marries well, their majesties will see fit to reward me. I'm an adult now, I've earned their trust. I might have a new position in mind, royal support, higher pay rate. I'd be able to make a home for myself. And then with security and a place of my own, I could consider personal matters. Love, a family, all the things I can't have now. A real future at last. Oscar marrying Cassidy could be the best thing that ever happens to me. But even I wouldn't believe myself if I claimed I wouldn't miss him. I'm drawn from my contemplations by a strange sound, or perhaps an absence of sound. I'm not entirely sure. It wasn't something that I registered on a conscious level, but I've been trained to respond to changes to my surroundings. And something is wrong. I rise and walk to stand near the doors, just beyond the arch that cover where they swing. If someone or something burst through these doors, I would rather not be struck in the face. There's a rumble in the distance and a hubbub that can't be silenced by solid walls and thick carpeting. And it's growing. Heavy footsteps, the clash of metal, a fist hammering on the door. Open up, in the name of the king! What's going on? The princess has been kidnapped by your master. What? Oh, Oscar, what have you done? Aha! I think all that counts as an intro. I was kind of hoping to get this game recorded in about 2 to 3 days. Dolled up like a decoration. Just a guy, all for sure to entertain. Okay, so this could be a bit of a problem. Aww. Bless R. These are the big players. God, that guy thinks a lot of himself. You can tell that just from the way he's drawn. I actually kind of like this opening song. I quite like the opening song. I've got to say, Chapter 1, The Investigation. Now, again, the presentation hall is filled with guests and guards. More than before and far less friendly. I'm sorry, I didn't see anything, it was dark. Oscar is not, in fact, eloped with the princess in a fit of madness. He's here, bruised, dirtied, scratched, and alone. According to the guards, he was discovered lying senseless under a rosebush. But of Cassidy there was no sign. You spirited her into the gardens and out of sight, my little baby! It was her idea. Pull yourself together, boy, and speak respectfully. That is Duke Farod, the disliked, and on first impressions I can't say I'm fond of him either. He's a pale man who's looked to draw together in a pinched expression. His clothing, though well tailored, is too sombre for the festification that this anniversary was meant to be. And his voice snaps like the switch ill-bred gentlemen wield on their servants. Oscar looks back at the Duke, his lip curling slightly, and with a small shake of his head he draws himself to his full height. Her Highness wished to show me the Alba roses in the moonlight. She told me that the garden was enclosed on all sides. There did not seem to be any danger. You are not satisfied with what accent was I using for a moment? You are not satisfied with monopolizing the princess's public attentions. You wish to... What the hell is up with this guy's voice? Because I tried to do him as French earlier and it just kind of... I think it swung into Spanish at one point. As you might have noticed, consistent voice work is not exactly my forte. You are not satisfied with monopolizing the princess's public attentions. You wish to press your suit in the shadows. I would never have pressed her into anything. We were looking at the flowers and talking, nothing more. And then I felt a pain in my head and I tried to turn and something wrapped around my neck. That's all I know. Like any prince, Oscar has been trained in the art of war. In this case it's more of an art than a practical defense. He's passable with a sword in the context of a formal duel, and with a firearm he can strike a close-range target so long as neither he or it are moving. A dishonourable opponent in hand-to-hand could take him down easily. I didn't hurt Cassidy and I don't know where she is. Please, don't waste time asking me questions. We have to find her. It is terribly convenient that you're alone in the dark, out of sight. How fortunate for you that you were completely unharmed by this mysterious assault. What? And of course, when only you are able to find and rescue her, you will claim her hand as your reward. Are you saying that I made all this up? That's mad. They're turning on him, and I have to do something. Your Majesties, may I speak? Go ahead. Everyone who saw them knows that Oscar and Cassidy were pleased with each other. Surely all of the princes would be the least of all the princes, he would be the least likely to try such a thing. Are you accusing us of petty jealousy? Of course not, my lord. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. That would be a quick way to make an enemy. I have to be careful what I say. If someone did scheme to kidnap the princess in order to force her into marriage, it probably wouldn't be a man who had a good chance of winning her without it. The benefit would not be worth the risk. A clever way to avoid suspicion. If there's a plot, then someone has something to gain. Something that's worth risking their life to get it. So who benefits? All of a sudden, the king's wisdom goes pale, clutching her husband's arm for support. I cannot guess what thought has occurred to her, but I must press forward my point while I can. As my lord has suggested, I believe that it is important to locate her enlightened highness as soon as possible, before whoever is behind this has a chance to cause further mischief. Naturally, I can't tell a king what he must or he should do, but I'm a noblewoman's daughter, even if a low-ranked one. It's not improper for me to make a suggestion, particularly when the credit is placed upon worthier lips. Indeed. His gaze sweeps the room. You will all be escorted to your rooms under guard. I have done nothing. I will not be treated. You are being treated like an honoured guest. Your chambers will remain private and you will remain within them. All of you, including you, Farod. Your Majesty, I assure you, I would have helped the search. Be quiet, both of you. As far as I'm concerned, you are the prime suspects. You will return to your rooms and you will stay there. And you will pray that my daughter is found unharmed. Oh, Oscar, you never did learn when it was best to avoid being noticed. As if he's heard my thoughts, he turns to look at me. When his eyes fall upon the amber stone on my neck, a tiny smile warms his face. And then the guards come for us both. This is bad, this is very bad. If the princess isn't found quickly and word leaks out, all of Gwellinor will be in chaos. She has been kidnapped with the intention of forcing into a marriage, or worse, killed. There hasn't been a true war between civilized lands in a century. The repercussions could bring destruction beyond imagining. And if the blame for such a disaster was placed on Oscar, his family might well give him up rather than risk open war on his behalf. Even if the matter is resolved peacefully, the scandal could ruin him. It goes without saying that my own fate under such circumstances would be far worse. Cassidy must be found, and as soon as possible. The guards escort us to our rooms, but true to the king's word, they don't follow us inside. Within these walls, it would seem, our territory is still sovereign. Of course, I don't intend to remain within that protection. I can't rely on the local palace guard to solve this mystery, not with so much at stake. Therefore, once the door is closed, I begin changing my gloves and shoes into something more appropriate. Or at least more suitable for getting around unobserved. You're going out, aren't you? Don't worry, everything will be alright. Wait, don't go yet. Can we talk, please? Looking in his eyes is hard to face. Between the letter and the dance and the attack, he must be feeling torn to pieces. I know he's upset, but the fact remains that every minute now could make the difference. Sorry, I've got to go. I'm sorry, but every minute counts. I need to go now. And I need to know that you'll stay here and be safe. He looks at me, and I think he understands. Of course. You go. I'll be fine. It would be a simple matter to slip out unseen. Well, out of a window, that is. The special gloves I'm wearing are designed for gripping surfaces when climbing. Very useful. I'll go out our window, back in through the next one down. And now we'll be able to reach the main hallways and then guards outside our room won't see a thing. Most of the palace staff must be busy with the search. They're not even bothered to keep our door under watch, but I'd rather not run the risk of drawing more suspicion. After my previous explorations, I know that the service hallways are filled with convenient peepholes, and that seems the best way to get around, while keeping an eye out for anyone who might not think that I ought to have remained in my room. Too well known and easily accessed for anything truly secret, but good for a start. Fortune smiles at my investigations, for I can hear the king's voice. I hug the wall, holding my breath as I peer through a crack. I better hear what he's saying. In her pocket, who knows how long she might have been planning this. I thought once she finally allowed Sophia to marry that it would be over. So many years. Everything we've given her. Your sister will never be satisfied. The Wisdom sister? The youngest sister must be, since she wasn't the heir. Do you think Sophia would really hand over control of her baby daughter to her mother? You believe Sophia was nothing but Marie's puppet? Wasn't that why we started all this? That was a long time ago. She's her own woman now. As her own woman, she might have planned this herself, without the Grandessa. Now that Riel is born, she's the heir, presumptive, if Cassidy is displaced. No one would support a murderous child. If it were, it could be proven, and the truth would be enough. There's been no sign, not even a whisper. No one knew. There was no whisper of this, but it happened. There is the possibility that someone has discovered the truth about Caspian and Cassidy. No. What will happen to her? What will happen to us? He takes her arm and guides her along. I will keep looking, and you will make use of your wisdom to plan. After that, I pass from my hearing. I lean back to consider what I've heard. Grandessa Marie, sister to the King's Wisdom. Her daughter will be Duchess Sophia, Princess Cassidy's cousin, the next in line to inherit the wisdom. Except she's now the wife of Duke Farod, an infant daughter. If Cassidy is dead, that baby is the new princess. The King's Wisdom is surely too old for more children of her own. The question I asked earlier, who benefits if mischance befalls Princess Cassidy? Duke Farod would be the father of the heiress, the regent of the current king did not live until Rayleigh's wedding. No wonder they consider him a suspect. What if they mean the truth about Caspian and Cassidy? As far as I know, Caspian died when he was a little more of a toddler, and Cassidy a babe in arms. That ill-mannered page suggested there had been rumours that the princess had succumbed to the same fever that took her brother and was replaced by an imposter. She also said that those rumours are nonsense and everyone of the rank knows it. Certainly Princess Cassidy bears a resemblance to her illuminated mother, and that in itself means little, though. Similarities between people are common, particularly within the noble classes where so many relatives are shared. However, if the blood heiress had been replaced at such a tender age, it would have been impossible to predict who the imposter might grow up to resemble. What other secret could there be? Caspian and Cassidy were side by someone other than the king? Although it would be personally embarrassing, it would make no difference to Cassidy's right of inheritance. She would still be the daughter of the Wisdom. Well, it matters little what secret she holds, so long as Cassidy is missing. I must keep looking. After some time picking my way carefully through the darkened service corridors, I begin to wonder if I've made a mistake. I was right, of course, that the official guards would not be capable of a thorough search. Only once I've seen that they have bothered to enter these passages, and so briefly that it was easily within my capability to stay out of sight. Perhaps they focused their efforts on blocking exits from the palace. Not an unreasonable approach, but the fact remains there are 1,000 places that they haven't investigated. These corridors might be out of sight of the guards and the nobles who observe propriety, but they're hardly secret. Any servant with a bucket of coal or a filthy washwater or similar unspurious tasks would be expected to use these halls to avoid the risk of dirtying the fine carpets that I've passed a few already in my wanderings. None of them have questioned my presence at all. In fact, they've been eager to share their garbled gossip of how the search is progressing, most of which is useless. If someone tells me that she heard from a butler who heard it from a maid that a guard saw a suspicious figure by the morning music chamber, well, even if that was accurate when it was first heard, and even if it hadn't been altered by passing through so many mouths, it's old news by now. Of course, knowing where the guards have searched doesn't mean I can rule those places out. Any child knows that one of the best places to hide a stolen toy is in a location that's already been thoroughly searched. Oh, I'm going in circles and I'm getting nowhere and I don't know what to do next. I can't give up now. What I need is information, motives, methods. If Cassidy arranged her own disappearance, where might she have gone to hide? If it was something else? If it was someone else, where might they have put her? What contacts do they have? What do they know? Running around loose on my own isn't likely to make a difference, but I don't have any connections here. Except that one. You? You're not supposed to be here. Yes, I am. No, you're not. You and your princess are supposed to be in your rooms. I can't rate her for manners. She apparently has the advantage of many of the palace staff in terms of intelligence. Not that it's stopping the others. The others? Well, you don't expect a great lord to stay still on the say-so of a nobody guard, do you? Those that are born that way know who makes the rules. Of course. Wonderful. If Oscar is the only suspect staying put, that'll make things even more confusing. Wait, does that mean their rooms are empty? Could be. You want to get into those rooms, don't you? Spying again. I tapped the side of my nose with my finger meaningfully. I would never violate the privacy of honoured guests. So you don't want to? Well, never mind then. I take back my earlier assessment. She may be observant in some ways, but she certainly didn't invent gunpowder. Yes, I would like to have a look if I can get in without being seen. A nearby window, a service door, a large chimney if you know the way. Or the keys. You have keys to those rooms? Maybe I do. What's that for me? Look, what's your name? Dolores, miss? Dolores, I'm trying to find your princess and prevent a civil war. It's all words. I'm not doing any of this to gain anything for myself. Well, good for you, lady whatever, but that's nothing to me. I sigh. What do you want? That necklace you're wearing is very pretty. Oscar's necklace. Have we got any money to offer her? I reach through and slip in the slip of my clothes and fetch out 4 silver ducats. Here, all that's worth and more use to you. Present from someone special then, miss? None of your business. Very well, lady whatever. With the bribe safely stowed, her smile takes on a harder quality. Whose room do you want? Only one? I can't wait around for you while you search. Too many eyes. I suppose that makes sense. There's so much riding on my decisions, how can I choose? Of course, Dolores is a lower servant, nearly invisible to the eyes of the mighty. She notices things. Can you tell me a little about the other guests? I don't have all night, we have to hurry. She sees my arm and starts to pull me along, keeping up with our rapid monologue in an undertone. The Duke and his bunch won't even let the chambermaids in to air their rooms. Don't know if it's territory or if they got something in there. The pale fellow, nobody wants to do his room because he's got all these bottles like a pharmacist. And who wants their things to rot off from poisons and curses? The glittery one smells, it's true, but... She drops her voice even further to a whisper. I heard it from a junior scullion that someone saw a girl who looked like the princess in his room once. Can't tell you if that's true, only that I heard it. So which room do you want to go see? So we've got Golden McCurls, Creepy weirdly drawn anime guy, and completely obvious scumbag to the point where I'm guaranteeing it's not him. Let's go check out Mr. Kirby. Fine, now let's get moving, and whatever you do, don't tell anyone that I helped you. The page leads me to Prince Gaston's room, where she unlocks the door and holds it open for me to slip quietly inside. Then, with the purpose served, she leaves me to my task. There tends to be a certain similarity to these guest quarters. After all, there's nowhere to know who might be residing within them at any time. This set of rooms, however, stands out for one particular reason. The smell. It is not the scent of an unwashed man. I've encountered dirt and sweat before, even if I do prefer to keep them at a distance. This is different, too complex to categorize all at once. A hint of spice, a drift of smoked herbs, the breath of powder, something animalistic beneath it all. Musk? Is that what it's called? The Prince of Bardon brought perfume as his offering to Cassidy, but seeing that he retained a large amount of it for himself. Or else, what little he does use is so powerful that even a hint of it is strong enough to imbue the walls and furnishes with lingering reminders. Oh, no wonder the steward wouldn't let Cassidy open Gaston's gift. But the princess, is she here? Was she before? No one in the front room, of course, but the bedchamber is beyond, and dangerous to burst in on unawares. I ease along the wall, silent as a fish. In our brief encounters, Prince Gaston has not given the impression of a man who enjoys quiet. I suspect he's not here, but between one footfall and the next I hear a quiet cough, and I guess it sounds like a woman. Cassidy, are you here? Oh! There's a bit of clatter of a chair being banged against a wall. Sorry, monsieur, I'll be right there. Sir. The door opens and a young woman steps out wearing a maid's uniform. Our eyes meet, neither of us seeing the person we expected. Oh, I'm sorry. She tries to hide the item in her hands behind her back. She's not fast enough to stop me from catching a glimpse of hair. Hair the same colour and style as that of Princess Cassidy. Is that a wig? You had the wrong room. You shouldn't be here. I'm looking for the princess. Don't you know she's missing? Yes, but she's not here. No one's here. Ignoring her words, I push my way past and peer into the bedroom. Well, we'll find out what we see in there in the next video, so I will say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.